Welcome back to the Central Pennsylvania Workforce Development Corporation's webinar series dedicated to providing you information relevant to your job, your area, and your community. My name is Bill Berry, and I am a research coordinator for CPWDC's Research Department. Our research department provides data support and analysis to our local workforce investment area, as well as 7 other workforce investment areas across the state for a total of 30 counties, and also employers, educators, economic development agencies, and Pennsylvania CareerLink sites. For any questions relating to the information presented in this webinar, or to contact CPWDC's research department, contact information will be provided at the end. Today's webinar will help you understand some of the labor market data that is out there and how we at CPWDC use this data. We will look at unemployment rate data by highlighting our labor market status and rankings reports, which are produced each month by CPWDC. The reports are designed to highlight the current labor market information in the Central Pennsylvania region, which includes Center, Clinton, Columbia, Lycoming, Mifflin, Montour, Northumberland, Snyder, and Union counties. These reports provide a quick summary of the economy in terms of unemployment that anybody can use. Source data for these reports is produced by the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industries Center for Workforce Information and Analysis. The main focus of this webinar is on unemployment rates, but we will also talk about other labor market measures. Unemployment rates are one of the most common measures of the health of any economy, but many people do not understand what this value actually is. We all see media broadcasts and newspaper articles about the current unemployment rate and how it is changing, but we may not all know what that means exactly. For today's webinar, we will go through our reports and provide detailed discussion of the different components of the labor market, including the labor force, the employed population, the unemployed population, and the unemployment rate. Basically, labor market information is used to describe who is working and who is not working. As described in our webinar focused on the working environment in Central Pennsylvania, labor market estimates are based on individuals who live in the 9-county region. So, in our region, we have a population of about 601,000. Of course, not everybody in this population is working or looking for work. The population is broken into 2 segments, the civilian labor force and those not in the labor force. Finally, the labor force is categorized by the employed and the unemployed populations. To understand what this all means, let's go to CPWDC's website. The labor market information reports are available on CPWDC's website located at www.cpwdc.org, and then navigating to the labor market reports section under workforce trends. The screenshot of this page is shown here. As the reports get updated monthly, we immediately post them to our website, and you can also sign up for an email reminder. The first file that we will discuss is the Labor Market Status Report, which is located here. Click here to open the document. Clicking on that link will open up the Current Labor Market Status Report. It is a 5-page document that analyzes each labor market statistic, including civilian labor force, employed population, unemployed population, and unemployment rate. The first page, shown here, is a brief summary of how the labor market is changing in Central Pennsylvania. Across the top, you see that the report is for November 2010. Like most other data, the information on this topic is not exactly current, but this is one of the most timely pieces of information available. Next, we see 4 tables of information focused on the civilian labor market, labor force, the employed population, the unemployed population, and the unemployment rate. Each of these tables uses arrows to indicate if the value has increased, decreased, or stayed the same since last month and since last year, which in this case is October 2010 and November 2009. Changes are shown for central Pennsylvania with comparisons to the entire state and the nation. We see, for example, that the unemployment rate in central Pennsylvania has decreased both since last month and since last year. This may be a good sign for the economy, but to truly understand what is happening, we have to dig deeper into the data. Before we go to the next page, the unemployment rate graph shows the trend of this value over the last year. This information is displayed on the first page because this is usually what everybody wants to see and what they want to know. What is the unemployment rate and how has it changed? In the case of central Pennsylvania, unemployment rates have hovered between 8% and 10% during the past year. The current value of 8.2% is labeled, which we see is lower than Pennsylvania and the United States. The second page of this report is focused on the civilian labor force, which identifies the local labor supply. As you see by the included definition, this includes individuals who are working, waiting for a layoff to end, or are actively seeking work. There are several important details to consider that are not mentioned to help clarify who is included in this group. When we talk about the civilian labor force, we are talking about a very specific segment of the population. First, the labor force includes the population ages 16 years or older, generally because young people do not work, whether by child labor laws or social acceptability. Because it is the civilian labor force, it excludes anybody in the military. Military personnel cannot be considered for productive activity simply due to the nature of their jobs. Institutionalized members of the population are also excluded, such as those in correctional facilities, mental hospitals, and nursing homes. These individuals are generally unavailable for work and therefore not included in the civilian labor force. To be part of the labor force, an individual has to be willing to work. Therefore, anybody who is unwilling to work is excluded. These individuals may be able to work, but choose not to for various reasons, such as homemakers, full-time students, and retirees. Finally, discouraged workers who have the desire and ability to work are unable to find employment and have decided to stop looking for employment are not included in the civilian labor force total. All of these factors represent the civilian labor force. So if we go back to the labor market report, we see that the civilian labor force in the central region is 306,200. This value has decreased by 4,100 since October 2010, and it has decreased by 2,100 since October 2009. We also see how the state and national figures have changed. On the left-hand side of the page, the county-level civilian labor force values are shown. In the central region, values range from a high of 74,500 in Centre County to a low of 9,500 in Montour County. The percent change in civilian labor force graph shows how this value has changed in each county, the region, the state, and the nation since last month and since last year. In most areas, the civilian labor force has decreased during both time periods. The next page of the labor market report focuses on the employed population. As shown by the definition, this includes individuals who are working. This is probably the most basic concept to understand, but again, there are some details that go into defining what it means to be employed. Employment estimates are based on the week that includes the 12th day of each month. To be employed, an individual, first, they did any work as a paid employee or somebody else's business, for somebody else's business. Also, they could have worked without explicit pay in their own business, such as a proprietorship or a partnership, or on their own farm. or they worked 15 hours or more as unpaid workers in an enterprise operated by a member of their family. An employed individual may not have been working during the week that included the 12th day of each month, but they had a job from which he or she was temporarily absent due to illness or vacation, with or without pay. Employed individuals, no matter how many jobs they hold, are only counted once. With that clear understanding of employment out of the way, we go back to the report and we see that the Central Region has an employed population of about 280,900. Since October 2009, the employed population has decreased by 3,400, and it has decreased by 100 since November 2009. Again, this table shows a comparison to the state and nation. The table on the left shows county level values. In the Central Region, Centre County has the highest employed population at 70,200, and Montour County has the lowest at 8,800. The large graph shows the percent change in employed population for November 2010 compared to last month and last year. Similar to the civilian labor force, generally the employed population has decreased during both time periods. The fourth page of this report focuses on the unemployed population, which generally is understood as somebody who is not working. At this point, you may already expect there to be more to understand what it means to be unemployed, and you would be right. There are a few details beyond simply not working for an individual to be counted in the unemployed population. As the definition suggests, the individual must either be waiting for a layoff to end or actively seeking employment. This is the most crucial factor for individuals to be counted as unemployed. They must be able to work and actively seeking employment. An individual who is looking for a job, who is unemployed, can be grouped into several different categories. First is a permanent job loser. This is a job loser who is permanently terminated from a job and has begun job searching. There is also a temporary job loser. This is a job loser who is temporarily laid off but expects to return to employment within 6 months. A job leaver leaves a job voluntarily and searches for other employment. There are re-entrants, unemployed individuals. These individuals are seeking employment, but they have not been employed or looked for employment in a long time. Finally, a new entrant. These are individuals seeking employment for the first time and have never been employed. All of these groups are different types of unemployed individuals. As seen on the report, there are 25,200 individuals unemployed individuals in the Central Region. This represents a decrease of 800 since October 2010 and a decrease of 2,000 since November 2009. Looking at the county level values, unemployed populations range from a high in Lycoming County of 5,400 to a low of 600 in Montour County. The graph shows the percent change in the unemployed population since last month and since last year. Please note that this is for the unemployed population, not the unemployment rate. For example, the unemployed population in the Central Region decreased by 800 during the last month, representing a decrease of 3.1%, which is shown on the graph. The last page of the labor market status report focuses on the unemployment rate. The exact definition of this is sometimes misunderstood, but the unemployment rate represents the proportion of the civilian labor force that is unemployed. What this means is the unemployment rate is based on the civilian labor force and not the total population. It shows what percentage of the labor force or the labor supply is available, able, and searching for work but cannot find employment. The layout of this page is slightly different from the other pages, but presented in the table are the current, past month, and the past month from the past year unemployment rates. As you can see, the current unemployment rate in the central region is 8.2%, which again is lower than the Pennsylvania and United States values. The graph on this page shows how the unemployment rate has changed during the past month and the past year. So with all the information we now know about the labor market in central Pennsylvania, we can evaluate if the decreasing unemployment rates are a good thing or a bad thing. When we started this presentation, we saw immediately that the unemployment rate is decreasing. We were unsure, though, if this was a sign of a healthy economy. After reviewing the labor market status report, we determined that the civilian labor force is decreasing, the employed population is decreasing, and the unemployed population is decreasing. All three of these factors are going down. What this means is there are fewer individuals with jobs and there are fewer people looking for jobs, both of which signal a struggling economy. In this case, a decreasing unemployment rate figure does not necessarily relate to a booming work environment. While there are job opportunities in certain industry sectors and there are new businesses opening, overall, the labor market is still feeling the effects of the recession. To gain even more perspective on the unemployment rates, there is also an unemployment rate rankings report posted on our website that shows all of the counties and workforce investment areas in Pennsylvania and has them sorted by unemployment rate. This report is found just beneath the labor market status report, and click here to open the file. If we open that file, we see that the unemployment rate rankings report is a simple two-page handout that is quickly used to see how our local counties and our local workforce investment area, which are highlighted, how they are doing compared to other areas. Here we see the county rates. Two of our counties, Center and Montour, are actually two of the lowest in the state of Pennsylvania. The second page shows the unemployment rates by workforce investment area, and we see that Central's 8.2% is the 13th highest in the state out of 22 workforce investment areas. In addition to updating the labor market status reports and the rankings files, we also update this information on our interactive dashboard. On most pages, you will see the current unemployment rate in the region as compared to the state and the nation, which is shown here. By selecting the Click Here for More link within this chart, you can access the dashboard. If this table does not appear on the page you are viewing, you can also access the dashboard through the Workforce Trends drop-down menu shown here, and then selecting Dashboard. So what is the dashboard? Well, this is what will pop up on your screen. This is our interactive dashboard. It's an interactive module that allows you to find various economic, demographic, and educational indicators. To find the unemployment rate, select the economic button shown here, and the first indicator to appear is the unemployment rate. As you move your mouse over each county, the current unemployment rate figure will appear, such as the 5.9% for Center County. To access historical information in chart form, select the chart button shown here. When you select the chart item, a graph for unemployment will grow on your screen. Unemployment information is graphed over the last 2 years for the county that you have selected, and compares it to Pennsylvania and the United States. You can select each county and the region for comparison, shown here. To access other indicators, browse through our menu, or you can select other buckets at the bottom. Before we end this webinar on unemployment rates, you should know a few things about what you could see with future unemployment rate values. In a healthy economy, you would not necessarily see the employed population always increasing and the unemployed population always decreasing. There will always be new businesses coming and going, and workers will always be changing jobs or searching for new careers, which means you will never have the unemployed population reach zero. But one thing is for sure, a sign of a struggling economy is a decreasing labor force. Individuals are dropping out of the labor force because the available job opportunities do not match their skills. As a Workforce Development Corporation, it is our mission to ensure a qualified and prepared labor force for our local employers, which we strive for on a daily basis. This concludes our presentation on understanding unemployment rates in Central Pennsylvania. If you have any questions about the November 2010 unemployment report or any general questions about the labor market figures and what they mean, please contact the Central Pennsylvania Workforce Development Corporation. The unemployment numbers are generally released each month by the state, so please visit our website regularly to stay up to date on this critical marker of the economy as well as other topics. You can sign up for email alerts to be reminded about this information by going to our website, clicking on the News drop-down menu, and then selecting Stay Connected. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.